All right, we're back with part two, and again, we've got with us, and I'm going to turn the camera around so you can talk to him. It's hot out here today. Y'all see that sweat all up? It's really sweating. All right, I'm with Andre Quarles of ARQ Building Services, right? And you can find him at
www.arqbuildingservices.com.
All right, now you mentioned before that you do two types of inspections, and they are
There is a visual inspection.
A visual inspection.
And then there is also a dust wipe inspection.
Okay, so how much is a visual inspection, just so we know?
Visual inspection is going to run you roughly $150. It may vary depending on the size of the property.
And you probably don't get that one very often. People don't probably call you.
Visual inspections that often, and it's sort of the reasoning we were talking about earlier. The visual inspection means you've already put out the coin to have the contractor come who is accredited and do that work. And so I'm going to come and I'm going to verify the work that he's done. So now you're paying two different costs. Whereas with the dust wipe inspection, you can go ahead and do your remediation. You can get your regular contractor to do the work. You can clean up yourself and he cleans up. And then I'll come and just test.
Now, you mentioned that there were about 9 things that you look for in a visual inspection. Can you talk to me about those real quick?
We'll talk about the visual inspection again. And what we want to stress is that in a visual inspection, you've had an accredited lead contractor come out and he has performed a certain amount of services, and we're going to talk about those things right now. We're looking at this window right now. Now this is a vinyl window. So if he put in new vinyl windows, that may all be all that he needs to do. He just replaced the probably wooden windows, whatever type of window was originally on the property, with a vinyl window. But say this wasn't a vinyl window and this was a wood window that possibly had lead. One of the things I'm going to come and check is the top sash. Even if it's a double hung window, this is what we call the top sash. It cannot move. It must be secured.
And that's if it was a wooden window.
If it was a wooden window, only this bottom sash, this is what we call the bottom sash, or the operable part of the window. This window can open and close, but the top sash cannot move. On most of these vinyl windows, if I was to lift this up, I could also move this bottom sash up, this top sash up and down.
And that's okay on a vinyl window, but on a wooden window, that can't happen.
And it's okay on any window, but when we're talking about having done the lead abatement services, the top sash must be secured.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Some other things that would have been done is this window sill and what we call the window well. This is what we call the window sill.
Let's see if we can lift that window up right quick. Let's see if it's we can unlock it real quick, just so we can kind of. Okay, now what is the window well? What's the difference between the window sill?
The window sill is this wooden portion here that is on the interior of the window. Once you open up the window, we have what you call the window well. This area here is the actual window well.
Got it. I think we're gonna leave that open because it's a breeze.
Yeah, actually pretty nice. Get some more of those open.
Yeah.
So, if you had a lead abatement contractor come out, one of the things he's going to do, if this was a lead window, he is either going to strip the paint in this area. He can strip the paint in this area and then repaint, or he can, of course, remove and put in a vinyl window, or he can do what we call encapsulation. We mentioned that word earlier. And if he encapsulated, he's going to put some type of metal or vinyl covering over top of the wooden window well. Okay? And in doing so, when I come to inspect, one of the things I'm going to make sure if he did that encapsulation process is that there shouldn't be any nails or screws that he used to attach that cover. That cover has to be sealed with a silicone or a glue, because any penetration of it with a screw or what have you is also a chance to expose the lead dust.
Got it. The lead dust to come through.
So we talked about the windows, or we said we're going to leave that open. So Jonathan doesn't pass out.
Yeah, I'm good.
Myself as well.
I'm about to say now.
Also, what we're going to do, this comes in case of, we're just talking about the visual inspection, there can't be any chipped or cracking paint. Of course, because
here we've got some.
Sure, we've got cracked paint here. We've got, we've got cracked paint above this door here. We've got chipped paint. All of those things, if you just think about it, if there's possible lead in the property, then of course the dust from the back of a paint chip that could have lead in it is going to be a problem.
Let's look at the window seal. I mean the door jamb here. Okay.
Exactly. The door jambs. One of the things that you definitely have to do, and that I'm going to come and check on that visual inspection, is all of the doors need to be what they call rehung. So the doors need to be made level and plumb. In our other business, in our construction business, we deal with things being level and plumb. Means it needs to be level, it needs to be across, it needs to be exactly level. And also it needs to be plumb, meaning straight up and down. If this frame was plumb and this door was plumb, when we close the door, the amount of gap should not change. Sometimes you'll see a door where there's maybe an 1/8 inch gap at the bottom, and maybe there's a 1/4 inch gap at the top. That tells you that either the door is not plumb or the frame is not plumb.
Yeah, and one of the things that when getting into this property earlier, I had to actually throw my shoulder in order to.
And that would be a problem.
To open up the door.
That is something that would make you fail the visual inspection because the doors cannot rub.
Got it.
The doors in the frame cannot rub because, again, we're thinking in terms of lead. If we have the doors and the doors jam is rubbing, then we're having the paint being disturbed.
Got it. And then we got more dust. What are some of the other things you look for in a visual inspection?
The other things we're looking for in visual inspection is that the floors in a bathroom or in a kitchen have been you have a floor that is waterproof, and when we say waterproof, they really just mean a tile floor. It's not carpeting, and it has to have a smooth surface.
So then, is this linoleum? Is this will qualify?
This is a linoleum floor, but linoleum or tile, the waterproof is not so much of an issue because there's nothing that's really waterproof unless you have some type of coating over top of it. Water can get down in between these small cracks, but they really just mean the floor must be smooth and pretty much not a carpet, okay? And we're talking about in your bathroom and also in your kitchen.
Got it.
Okay? So we talked about the floors, we talked about the windows, we talked about the doors, and also the paint chips and cracks, and that is essentially it. On the visual inspection, that is what I'm coming around to check on the visual inspection, that these things have been done. Now, very, very, very important, we do not want to miss this. Again, listen to me. For the visual inspection, you had to have had an accredited contractor come. So I don't care if I come in and you've done all these things with your regular contractor. If you don't have the paperwork from that supervisor, then none of it matters.
Got it. So you might as well just go to a dust and swipe.
You might as well just go to what most people go to, and that is a dust swipe inspection.
Okay, so then that's the visual inspection, and you get calls for the dust swipe inspection. So talk to me about what's involved in. First of all, what's the base cost for a dust swipe inspection?
The base cost for a dust swipe inspection is $140.
Okay, so that's the base cost. Now for the visual inspection, it's the same cost, but $150 again, about the same cost. But this one, you actually can't. You have to. There's going to be more additional costs on it.
There is additional cost.
Okay, why is that? Talk to me.
And also, one thing we want to talk about too, and basically, right now we're charging about $75 for the return. But in both cases, we didn't talk about the fact that if I come out and these things are not correct, you're going to fail. Okay. You're
going to fail, and you have to come back out and first of all get it fixed. And then call you to come back out.
Me coming back out, which roughly we charge right now about $75, and that also depends on the location where we have to travel to.
Got it.
It's about $75 for the reinspection on the visual. We're going to talk a little bit more about what a reinspection would entail on the dust wipe inspection. And all of these things, be mindful that whenever you call an accredited inspector for a visual inspection or a dust wipe inspection, he has requirements that are triggered right in place. Meaning if I schedule an appointment with you, I now must contact MDE and let them know I'm coming out to do the inspection. So it's not a simple thing as calling me out to do the inspection. I get out, you decide you don't want me to do it because I flagged you for something, you're going to call somebody else. No, when I return, I have to tell them I didn't do the inspection, and I have to tell them why. So you're still going to have to get
everything is on the record with this stuff because they're not playing with this.
Everything is on the record.
You have to
be a state-driven thing,
which
is also backed by the federal, and so federal laws. So everything has to be on the up and up.
Absolutely. Right? So let's do this right. But okay, now talk to me more about this dust swipe inspection.
Dust swipe inspection. The dust swipe inspection is going to be a base price of $140, and then how you can figure out the rest of the pricing is that for every room, and I mean every room, I don't just mean in the case of like real estate, we're talking about bedrooms. No, we mean bedrooms, living room, dining room, storage room,
even a hallway,
bathroom, even a hallway. For every room, every hallway, and every stairwell, there has to be one sample taken.
Got it.
Each sample is going to be $10.
Okay.
So you want to add $10 for every sample, and if you all remember from science class,
there you go.
because we're going to take this to the lab, there's going to be a control sample. So right away you can add and make that $150, and then start doing your calculations by the room.
Got it. Okay. So then, all right. So tell me what a sample would be, or an example of a sample there in the doorway.
All right. And one other thing.
Oh.
Just one other thing with pricing that you want to be aware of. Earlier we were looking at these windows. These are vinyl windows. I know that they didn't have these vinyl windows when this place was built in 1948. So we know these were replaced. These vinyl windows, they don't have any lead in them. So these are what we can call a lead-free window. So in the case of this living room, I'm only going to be required to take one sample. And then one sample is $10.
Yeah.
If this was that wooden window and the owner couldn't tell me that this window is wooden, but it was put in after 78. If they're not sure, then there's a possibility this is what we would consider not a lead-free window.
Got it.
Well, if this is not a lead-free window, I'm required to take 2 samples in this room.
Got
it. Okay, so it makes a difference of a $10 room or a $20 room.
Got
it. And all of these things are set out by MDE, so there's nothing that can be done about
right.
it. It requires 2 samples.
It's not like you are trying to charge crazy outrageous money. This is what's set for.
This is what's set and required.
Yeah.
And in that room where you have to take 2 samples, one is going to be taken from the floor and one must be taken from the window well.
Okay, so then let's talk about the door. I think you want to give me one about the door?
Yeah, well what I want to tell you is that we're going to step out here just for a hot second.
Oh, okay, not a problem.
Back in the house. But one of the things that you want to be aware of when you're talking about the dust wipe inspection, but it's the same thing with the visual inspection, is that even the exterior of the property, anywhere where there's paint, there's paint here around the door trim, there's paint here on the railings, there can't be any chipped paint.
So then let me show everybody this. We have chipped and cracked
paint here.
That right there, that would make you turn around and walk away.
That means that I cannot do the inspection. And once again, MDE has been notified I have to give them 24-hour notice that I'm coming to do the inspection. So they are subject to show up with their own representative. After I do the inspection and pass you, they're subject to show up a day or 2 later. And if they come and see that there's cracked paint, they're going to want to know why I did the inspection, and they're going to flag me. So I'm going to have a problem. So one of the things I tell people beforehand, I try to stress it to them when they call and stress it again, is that, look, throw a little bit of paint on that. Throw a little bit of paint. Go around and find anywhere you have your chip paint. Go ahead and just throw a little bit of paint on that, because if I come out, we have a non-refundable fee for there's high gas prices.
Exactly. It's $4 a gallon.
Exactly. So I need my $60 non-refundable fee whether I do the inspection or not. Now, we'll subtract that from your inspection when I come back out. But just take care of it beforehand.
Right, so we don't have to incur extra and double costs.
And there's one small thing, and that is, if you think about it, you say, well, what if it's the middle of winter and there's snow everywhere? You can get an exterior waiver, which means the exterior doesn't have to be dealt with, the exterior of the house, and that also includes painted fences or what have you outside. You can get a waiver for that. You just have to contact MDE and let them know, hey, it's the middle of winter, we can't paint outside, blah, blah, blah.
But you just said something right there I want to make sure. So right now we have a metal fence that's outside, but if there was a wooden fence that was painted, then that wooden fence has to be chip free. Chip paint free.
That wouldn't. It may not make sense, but unfortunately, it's one of their requirements.
It's one of the requirements.
But anything outside with paint on it that's attached to the structure or even around the structure, as far as a fence, needs to be chip free as far as the paint is concerned.
Cool. Okay. Now you talked about taking a sample.
All right.
Show me what's going on.
What we're going to do, if I was coming to take a dust wipe inspection, what I would do is I would usually have on my powder-free gloves, and I would have a sample tube like this. This is what I'm going to take my sample with, and then I have what you call these dust wipes here. They're lead wipes.
Got it.
And what I would end up doing, my first one would be a control, as we talked about. So I would simply take one of these wipes out, take the cap off of the sample case here, and put the control right into the case and close it up, okay? Because it's just a control sample.
Got it.
Okay? Now, when I'm taking my sample for the living room here, I'm going to take one sample, all right? What I have here, I generally take my one sample because it's easiest and quickest. I have a template here, okay? So I'm going to put this template on the floor. I'm going to pull out one of my wipes, and I'm going to wipe this area inside this template, and then I'm going to go here and wipe. What I'm going to end up doing is getting the whole area, and then I'm going to even wipe around the edges. So what we're trying to do is make sure if there's any lead inside of this area, I'm going to get it on my dust wipe.
Got it.
Right? And then I would put it inside of the sample tube.
Got it.
And then we're going to put that away and go on to the next testing area. Now, that is for a floor sample. And as I mentioned before, I'm only going to do one sample per room unless there are lead suspected windows, all right? I can take samples from one of three places: the floor, a window sill, or the window well.
Got
If
it.
I was taking a sample from this window sill, what I would end up doing is I would take my blue tape and I would make an area like so. I would create a square here. Then what I would do is I would take my tape measure, which I have put out the room, but I would take my tape measure and I would measure this area.
Because you're looking for the perimeter or the area
Well,
of the...
what we're looking for, let me
Go
grab the
ahead.
tape
Sure,
measure.
not a problem, not a problem.
What we're looking for, when we talk about testing, we haven't talked about that much, but it's going, these samples are going to go to a lab, okay?
Got it.
And in the lab, they're going to run tests on the samples. And actually, what they are looking for is in the area of my template here, which should be about 8 by 8. Yeah, my template is about 8 inches by 8 inches, okay? They are looking for there is a certain amount of allowable lead dust in that area of 8 by 8 cubic centimeters. Okay. And so if you exceed that amount of dust in that area, then
that's inches, not centimeters, though, right?
That was 8 by 8 inches, but what they're looking for is amount of cubic centimeters.
Got it.
Just how
so they will convert it to centimeters.
Exactly,
got it.
Exactly right.
Got it. Not a problem.
We listed on our paper in inches, and so this here would be 3 by 18. So I'm going to put on my sheet that I'm filling out, my form, which is provided by MDE. I'm going to put on there a 3 by 18 window sill, and I'm also going to write the location right here on my tube, and then later on they're going to test the sample from that area. And
then they're going to be able to do their calculations to see how much lead exists in that particular area. Okay, cool.
And it's either going to be from the window well, or from the window sill, or from our floor sample.
Got it. So now that we've actually done all of that and you've collected that, and we kind of calculated the number of rooms in here. This is a 3-bedroom Cape Cod, really. It's listed as a Rambler, but it's really a Cape Cod. It's about 1,000 square feet, I believe, above grade, and there's a basement as well, and so a cellar. But we haven't even calculated, anything about the cellar because we haven't calculated the cost of that. Sure. But for this above grade, it's going to be about $250 or so, if not a little bit more, because we have the living room, 2 bedrooms, about, we're just giving round off numbers. I'm not gonna. Yeah, go ahead. You wanna?
Let's do it in our head right quick.
Okay.
And also, we're both getting up in age, especially.
So I think I'm younger than you are, bro. But it's okay. It's all right.
What they're looking for inside that sample area comes back to me: micrograms. How many micrograms in a square centimeter of that area? Okay?
Cool.
All right, what we would do, we said 140, then you're saying $10 for your control, so that's 150. Living room, 160, 70. The room back there, 80, 90, 200, 210. Stairwell, I wouldn't really, you're gonna have to say for this hallway, so we're at 210?
Yeah.
220, 230. And then upstairs, 240. You got
so
it right.
about 250. So just to make sure, because that upstairs area is pretty large.
Yeah, but you know what? Unless you have this upstairs area sectioned off as more than one room.
Got it.
I think I would definitely say you could get away. Oh no, actually we have a doorway here.
So then
So you're actually going. Yeah, there's actually going to be one here. The closet is not considered a room, but there actually will be one here and one here as well.
Okay.
And one of the issues, as we're passing by while we're up here, you see we have a wooden window here.
Got it.
If we can't verify that this is a lead-free window, then we're going to end up taking 2 samples up here. That back bedroom there, I see light coming from it. There's a wooden window back there. So if we can't verify that that is a lead-free window, you're going to get 2 samples up here. So where we thought was 1 sample up here, we actually have 4 samples.
So now we're probably very close to $300.
That's correct.
For this particular inspection. And I just want to just show everybody. I think I understood what you were saying before, but here on this wooden window.
Yes.
So let's see. I'm trying to figure out if this if this sash moves. This sash doesn't move, but I think it's been painted in, and that's the only reason why.
Exactly right. There's nothing, generally, I don't know if you can get this with your camera.
Sure.
Beneath, right in that area beneath that sash, there may be some type of a metal clip or something that would stop it from moving. You might see an L clip that's anchored into that wood that protrudes out, that rests under there, that would keep that from moving. So you may be right. You're probably right. It's just the paint that may be keeping this from moving. But in the case of me coming out and doing a visual inspection, I'm going to be looking for something or wanting to know that this is truly secure and that it cannot move. So I would be looking for those L clips.
And just so everybody can see, if this is right here is the window seal, and then this down the window well. And so one of the key issues is you see in here there are chips of paint, and so kids would sometimes come in here and take these chips of paint and then put them into their mouth, and then that's how it winds up in the system, playing around in that area.
Exactly correct. And even and that's very important because you're exactly correct that they may put the chips in their mouth, but what we talked about in brief is that one of the reasons why they put lead in paint is that it has very good adhesive properties. So even with this window well or window sill, should the child not put the paint in his mouth but just touch the window sill, the dust is going to attach to his fingers. And what do children usually do?
They're going to put their fingers
in
their
mouth
all day long.
Often. Yes. So that is why it's very important to meet these requirements when you're dealing with a property that may have lead contamination.
Got it. So, wow, we have had an education here, and we've spent about 30 minutes going through this property and talking about what we have here. So, but I want to make sure that everybody has your information. You're Andre Quarles with...
I'm Andre Quarles with ARQ Building Services. You can reach us at 301-980-5126. Again, that's 301-980-5126. Or you can email us at BLDG Services, short for Building Services, BLDG Services at ARQinvestments.com. Okay?
Cool.
And you can find us on the web at ARQbuildingservices.com. That's ARQbuildingservices.com, and all our other contact information is on there. All of our accredited information is on there. All the other services that our company offers, you can give us a call at any time or email us. We're happy to give you any information. Doesn't matter whether you're getting an inspection from us or not. Just like the information you got here from us today, we're happy to give you that information and talk with you at any time. And also, you can check out the Maryland Department of Environment for any other information on inspection. All right?
Excellent. Well, listen, again, this is Jonathan Mickles, and I am still sweating. As you can see, the beads of sweat. And we're really committed, again, to making sure that you have all the information that you need to make sure that your business model and your clients are actually protected, and you're doing everything according to the way that the books are and the way the laws are. So as I'm learning, you guys are learning as well. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. I mean, it's out there. Make sure that you subscribe to the website so that you continue to get updates from these videos and some other posts that we continue to have. Again, this is Jonathan Mickles with JonathanMickles.com. If you're interested in any properties, take a look at the properties that we have renovated out there. If you're an investor or first-time investor trying to invest in Maryland, let me know, because we'll make sure that we get you, again, licensed, bonded, insured, people that are actually doing this work on a day-to-day basis and who know what's going on. Give us a call. Again, 301-485-6523, www.jonathanmickles.com. Have a great one. Bye.